Good morning, boys and girls. We are on page 128. For the question, it asks you to divide and show every other division sentence in 2 steps. The first two have been done for you. So, today I'm going to be showing you the standard algorithm way to figure out how to solve for decimal division problems. So, I want you to remember that the first number is always the number that goes inside the decimal or inside. So for instance, 1.8 would be inside and 6 would go on the outside. We know that 3 can go into 18 3 times, or 6 can go into 18 3 times. 18 minus 18 would equal to 0, and then you bring up your decimal, and your answer would be 0.3. So that's what we are going to do today. So first, problem C, we have 8. How many times can 8 go into 24? 8 can go into 24 3 times. 8 times 3 is equal to 24. 24 minus 24 is 0. Make sure that you are bringing up your decimal, so you get 0.3 as your answer. Now on this side, we notice that they're asking you how many times can 80 go into 2.4. We know that 80 cannot go into 24, so we're going to add an extra 0. How many times can 80 go into 240? 80 can go into 240 3 times, because 8 times 3 is equal to 24, and then you add your 0 at the end, which gives you 240. Now, don't forget to add your zeros and to bring up your decimal. So you get 0.03 for problem D. Now for problem E, where they're asking you how many times can 2 go into 14? 2 can go into 14 7 times. 14 minus 14 is equal to 0. Bring down your 6. 2 can go into 6 3 times. 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. Your answer is 7.3. Now on this side, you're doing the same thing. How many times can 2 or 20 go into 146? It can go into 146 7 times. 2 times 7 is equal to 14. Add your 0 at the end. You get 6. Add an extra 0 because you're not done. Now you have 60. How many times can 20 go into 60? 3 times. 60 minus 60 is equal to 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. Your final answer is 0.73. Notice that these two problems are the same, but the place value matters. It is in the different place. Now for problem G, how many times can 4 go into 0? 0 times. You can add a 0 if you want to, or you can leave it blank. How many times can 4 go into 8? 2 times. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. Subtract, you get 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. Your final answer is 0.2. Over here, can 400 go into 80? No. So I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. How many times can 400 go into 800? 2 times. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. Add my 2 zeros and subtract. Bring up your decimal and your final answer is 0.2. Now for problem I. How many times can 7 go into 0? 0 times. How many times can 7 go into 5? 0 times. How many times can 7 go into 56? 8 times. 8 times 7 is equal to 56. 56 minus 56 is equal to 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. Over here, how many times can 70 go into 0? 0 times. 70 can go into 5? 0 times. 70 can go into 56? 0 times. I need to add another 0. How many times can 70 go into 560? 8 times. 7 times 5 is equal to 56. Add your 0 at the end and subtract. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. Your final answer is 0.008. Now for problem K. How many times can 9 go into 9? 1 time. Subtract. 9 minus 9 is equal to 0. Bring down your 4. How many times can 9 go into 4? 0 times. Subtract. Bring down your 5. How many times can 9 go into 45? 9 times 5 is equal to 45. Subtract, and you get 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal, and your final answer is 1.05. Over here, how many times can 9 go into 9? 900 go into 9? 0. Can 900 go into 94? No, so we're going to put 0. Can 900 go into 945? Once. So now I'm going to write 900. 5 minus 0 is 5. 4 minus 0 is 4. Add a 0 at the end and bring it down. How many times can 900 go into 450? 0 times. Add another 0. How many times can 900 go into 4,500? 5 times. So we get 4,500 minus 4,500, which is equal to 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal, and your final answer is 0.0105. Or you can read it as 0 and 105 thousandths. 10 thousandths. Now make sure you're turning the page. We are on page 129. You do not need to use a place value to explain your decimal point, but I do want you to solve. Okay, so the first problem here we have is how many times can 8 go into 65? For 8 times, because 8 times 8 is equal to 64. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down your 6. How many times can 8 go into 16? 2 times. 16 minus 16 is equal to 0. I can stop there. Bring up my decimal and I get 8.2. How many times can 5 go into 2? 0 times. How many times can 5 go into 25? 5 times. 25 minus 25 is equal to 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. Now over here, how many times can 4 go into 1? 0 times. How many times can 4 go into 19? 4 times. 19 minus 6 or 16 or 9 minus 6 is equal to 2. Oh, sorry, 3. And then bring down your 2. How many times can 4 go into 32? 8 times. 32 minus 32 is equal to 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal, and your answer is 4.8. For the last one, we have 60. 39.6 divided by 60. How many times can 60 go into 3? 0 times. Into 39, 0 times. How about into 396? 6 times. Because 6 times 6 is equal to 36. Add your 0 at the end. 6 minus 6 is 6. 9 minus 6 is equal to 3. Add a 0 and bring it down. 60 can go into 360 6 times, because 6 times 6 is equal to 36, and add your 0 at the end. Subtract. Don't forget to bring up your decimal, and you get 0.66. Now, turn the page to problem number 3. For problem number 3, it says here, Chris rode his bike along the same route every day for 60 days. He logged that he had gone exactly 127.8 miles. So I'm imagining someone riding their bike, right? And he's logging how long his bike goes for when he travels, right? So we're logging in how far does the bike go. We know that the bike is 60 days, so we're dividing 60 days by 127.8 miles. Now, you're figuring out how many times can 60 go into 1? 0. How many times can 60 go into 12? 0 times. How about into 127? So in this case, this is going to be 2 times. 6 times 2 is equal to 12. Add my 0 at the end and subtract. 7 minus 0 is equal to 7. Bring down your 8. How many times can 60 go into 78? 1 time. I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 0 is equal to 8. 7 minus 6 is equal to 1. Add an extra 0 and bring it down. How many times can 60 go into 180? 3 times. 6 times 3 is equal to 18. Add my 0 at the end. 180 minus 180 is equal to 0. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. So he biked 2.13 miles each day. Now, how many miles did he bike over the course of 2 weeks? To find out for 2 weeks, we know that 2 weeks is equal to 14 days. And that's where I'm getting the number 14 from. So I'm multiplying 2.13 miles from the previous problem and multiplying 14 days. 4 times 3 is equal to 12. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 4 times 2 is 8. Bring down your 0. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 2 is 2. Add all of your numbers together. 2 plus 0 is 2, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 9, 8 plus 1 is 9. Bring down your 2. Move your decimal over twice, and you're going to get 29.82 miles in 2 weeks. So he biked 29.82 miles in 2 weeks. Now for number 4, it says here, 2.1 liters of coffee were equally distributed to 30 cups. How many milliliters of coffee were in each cup? So to figure that out, I am going to be dividing 2.1 divided by 30. Remember, 2.1 always goes inside because the first number goes inside first. And then the second number is going to be the number that goes on the outside. So how many times can 30 go into, or 30 can go into 2? 0 times. How many times can 30 go into 21? 0 times. Add another 0 and keep dividing. How many times can 30 go into 221? 7 times. 7 times 3 is equal to 21. Add your 0 because you're multiplying times 30. 210 minus 210 is equal to 0. Bring up your decimal, and your final answer is 0.07. So that means that to convert 0.07 to milliliters, I need to multiply times 100. So that's what I did here. I multiplied and got 70 milliliters. So each cup has 70 milliliters of coffee.